What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me today live. If you have a question that you would like to get answered on today's show, you better drop it in the chat box, comment box, wherever. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, love bugs. I don't have the record button started, so we are going to start from the top. Because I had to listen to my theme music, it gets me in the mood. Okay. We're using a new service today called eCam. Shout out to eCam for taking care of me and sponsoring this software. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, love bugs. It is your favorite motivator's favorite motivator, Mimi the Motivator, and this is the Get High on Motivation Show. So welcome. If you're a first timer, then hey, be warned. We have rules. Really, we just got one rule. And the one rule is that every single day that you must commit to being 1% better in one area of your life. It's not a whole lot, I don't believe, but I think that if you did that in 365 days, you just might be a brand new person. You just might be the person that you really desire to be. You just might be the person that you really were created to be. So let's jump right into today's show. I have no notes. Ain't that crazy? So I guess we're going to be doing some stuff off the cuff today. I don't know. I got a lot of stuff to do today. Lord have mercy. You know how it is sometimes when there's more things going on in your head that can actually happen in reality. It's just one of those days. I don't even get what this means. From Joanna Bailey, it says, the bliss, even a moment, is still bliss. Oh, I get it. The bliss, even a moment, is still bliss, except for there was no V in there. I'm assuming this person was from back in the day. But yes, even a moment of bliss is still bliss. A moment of bliss can save your life. A moment of bliss can save your day. I don't know if I have any Abraham Hicks, fans out there or listeners, call it what you want. But Abraham Hicks teaches this concept that if we can hold on to a positive idea, or really it's more about the positive emotion, for 16 seconds, then another one will follow that. Another positive thought will follow that. So that's what that makes me think of. And what I also feel like is a real easy thing to alter your mood is to have a moment of bliss in your back pocket that you can always call on. So that way, no matter how rough things are, no matter how rough you are at the moment, you can maybe just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and go to that moment of bliss. And just sit there for a second. Whether that moment of bliss is with a loved one, that moment of bliss might be you by yourself at the beach. But whatever can count as a moment of bliss, something that you know brought a smile to your face, like one of those big, huge Cheshire cat, chest cat grins, one of those kind of grins. Go to that moment, because that moment of bliss can allow you to create more bliss. That moment can roll into a minute, can roll into an hour, it can roll into the day, and that way you can have a whole day of bliss. We have to decide what type of day we're going to have. We can't let the day decide it. That's what too many people out there doing. That's what sheeple do. So if you sheeple, you following the hips in front of you and doing what everybody do, then you do that. But for the rest of us who are thinkers, who are individuals, then we are going to do something slightly different. We are going to decide what type of day today is. I take a page out of my brother Scooby's book, and he always says that today is going to be better than yesterday. And that's what he'll tell you every single day. Well, today is better than yesterday. And it's the truth. And when you say that, and when you proclaim that, and you really mean it, and you start your day thinking, today is going to be better than yesterday, and yesterday was pretty damn good, then you are guaranteed to have a good day. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not guaranteed for some bumps in the road to come your way, for some crazy folks to come your way, or some crazy thoughts to come into your mind. But what it does mean is that you have decided to set a momentum for where you really want to end up for the day, which is in bliss. It means that you have something to center you and to keep you grounded throughout the day, because you have decided that today is going to be better than yesterday. And the reason we know that is because if nothing else, and if something goes all the way left field, we're going to call back on a moment of bliss that's in our mind that we can take a little mini 1-minute vacay to, or just a 16-second vacay. You can't tell me you don't have 16 seconds on your hand. You know, people always want to pretend that they're just so busy. They're so busy doing so much, but they don't have time to really take care of themselves and do what they really need to do for themselves or for the people around them or for their organizations or whatever. You know, I think many of us spend a lot of time just ignoring life, ignoring responsibilities as if they're going to go away. Just like when you tell your dog, gone, and they just look away as if they disappeared. If you look away, your problems don't disappear. They're still there. They didn't go anywhere. They're actually just waiting on you. That's what's really happening. So you have to decide, what kind of day are you going to have? And I believe that today, we're going to have a blissful day because we've decided so. So today we are going to have a conversation about uncomfortable conversations, about the elephant in the room. I remember I never used to understand what that term meant, the elephant in the room. Like, what does that really mean? I had no idea. I had no clue. The elephant in the room. I don't know. Who came up with this term? I'm going to have to do some homework on that and get back with you on it. I don't know. But what happens when you know you have to have an uncomfortable conversation? What about when it's announced to you that we're going to have a talk later? Have you ever had that? Your boss says, we're going to have a talk later. Can I see you in my office? Or even your boo is like, look, we need to talk. Anytime a conversation starts with, look, we need to talk, you already know an uncomfortable conversation is coming. So what I want to talk about today is how do we prepare ourselves for an uncomfortable conversation? So that way when it takes place, we're already ready. Or if we know it's coming, we can be even more equipped and prepared for it. What I also want to talk about is maybe some tactics that we can think about and keep in mind to make the uncomfortable conversation not so uncomfortable, because it doesn't have to be. Typically, uncomfortable conversations come from truth moments. And not too many people want to have truth moments. Either one, they don't want to hear the truth, or two, they don't want to have to be the one to speak the truth. We're people pleasers. Or we just really love the people around us and don't want to hurt their feelings, possibly. Either way it goes, there's something to it. So uncomfortable conversations. How do we prepare for an uncomfortable conversation? So let's think about first, maybe if we are the ones that are going to be presenting an uncomfortable conversation. I'm going to grab some water and then we'll talk. By the way, if you haven't been to my website, mimithemotivator.com, go ahead and go over there and see what I have available for you. Now, I might need to do some updating, but please believe there are always events out there. If you're an Eventbrite person, go on Eventbrite and make sure you're following the Mimi the Motivator. If you are a person of color, make sure you're following the Minority Mastermind page, because there's always events going on. There's always free events or affordable events that will help you get your mind, your body, and your spirit right, because that's what I'm here for. So let's talk about having these uncomfortable conversations. Wow. So when you're the one that is going to have the uncomfortable conversation, you're the one posing the question or posing the situation, go in with a mindset that it doesn't have to be uncomfortable. Go in with the mindset that I'm going in with an objective. Have an objective of mind. Don't go in just wanting to express your feelings and tell what's going on and how it's making you feel. Like, yes, those things are very important. but go in seeking to understand. Because very often, when there's an issue between two people or a group or organization, and even if it is you and a vendor, there's usually some miscommunication that has taken place, or communication has failed to take place. And now we got to have the uncomfortable conversation because of the miscommunication, because of the lack of communication. That's why it's easier to go ahead and put stuff out there when you can, so that way you don't have to worry about it being uncomfortable later, because the longer you put stuff off or the longer you avoid a conversation is the more uncomfortable it gets for you, not for them, because you're the one over there dealing with all the anxiety. They don't even know what you want to talk about. So how about you take some deep breaths? Maybe even jot down some notes of what's important in what you want to communicate in this uncomfortable conversation. Take the notes with you to the conversation. It's okay. Because if you're really concerned about getting the objective accomplished, then you'll do what you have to do. And you'll take your tools with you. You'll take your pen and paper. Because perhaps you're not a good listener like I am and you're ready to cut folks off. So maybe you need to be ready to jot down some things that you would like to say, or jot down some points that stuck out to you in what the other person was saying. Be ready to be quiet. Be ready to listen with your whole self. When I used to work with little kids, they taught me about tracking. And I'm like, what's that? And that's where you keep your eyes on the person that's talking. So if they moving about or whatever it is, you keep your eyes on them. And I know that's going to be hard for a lot of y'all, because a lot of y'all got your phone right there in your hand, so you can't even have a full-blown, undivided attention conversation with anybody because you got your phone going. You on the Instagram and listening like, okay, yeah, Come on, quit multitasking. Definitely not in an uncomfortable conversation. Now, I'm sure you're going to want to run to that phone real fast. It's going to be like your safe haven, like, let me get out of here. Let me just not be here right now. Can I disappear? Like the dog? No. Be ready for your uncomfortable conversation. Write down your notes that you want to, really the points that you want to get across, that you know are most important. The statements possibly that you know are most important to be made, or the points that need to be hit on. Because maybe it's more than one thing. Be prepared. Maybe even rehearse it a little bit in your head, but not the part where you're trying to rehearse what they're going to say. Don't think for the other person, okay? And if you want to do that, think in a sense of being prepared for rejection, possibly. Let's say if you're going out on a sales call and you're about to pitch this idea maybe to your team. So be prepared for what they may reject. Yes, be prepared for that. But don't be prepared to defend. Because when you are defending your point of view or you're defending your stance, that is identifying that you feel like you have been attacked. Don't feel attacked. That's on you that you feel attacked. The other person didn't attack you. You decided that that's what it felt like. Is that what it is? Do you want to feel attacked, or do you want to feel like there's something else that can happen? That you can really get through this conversation. There's all kinds of things out there that we can do.
Maybe
we just got to make it happen.
In your head, but not the part where you're trying to rehearse what they're.
What can you do to be prepared for your uncomfortable conversation? So let's think about it on the other end. What if you're the one who got the memo that we're going to have to talk later? What do you do? So the first thing I want to please ask of you is not to immediately start preparing a conversation in your head or having an imaginary conversation in your head that's not really taking place in real life. Because that right there creates anxiety. And if anything, what you can do is figure out how can you go in calmly. How can you go in not on the defense? So that way you can be open to hear whatever message that the person has. Go in prepared to be a listener. And really take to heart what is being said. Be ready for verbal attack and know how to diffuse that. There's a show for that. You better go back and find it somewhere, and if I can find it, I'll put a link somewhere later. But find the show on how you can diffuse verbal criticism when somebody's attacking you. because there's a way to do that without you getting rah-rah. Very many of us our easy thing is to be like snap, crackle, pop. But we don't have to snap, crackle, pop. We can communicate. Use your words. Like you tell the kids, use your words. Use your words to articulate how you're feeling. Use your words to articulate what you heard. That goes back to that being a good listener. Part of active listening is paraphrasing what the person just said so they can know, yes, I hear you. I heard what you said and I was listening. Because you can hear somebody and not really be listening. Anybody else guilty of that? So be ready to really listen. Be ready to open your mind to understand this person's perspective and not from your own point of view. Step outside of your own shoes. Be objective for a little while. Be open to seeing things from their way. And once you've seen that, and even if you don't agree with that, be okay saying that. Be okay with saying, I understand. I understand how you feel. And I can definitely see, how you could have perceived things that way. But this is what I meant. Or this is my intention. Sometimes our intentions aren't as clear as we think they are. Sometimes we think our actions are speaking loud and clear, but they are not. They're speaking a foreign language to the person that we're dealing with. That whole thing about the 5 love languages, it works beyond just marital relationships. It works in relationships in general. Understanding communication styles is like gold. When you understand what your communication style is and when you can recognize other people's communication style and you can adjust yours a little bit real quick, even more helpful. So if you know you're a direct, aggressive person like me and you're dealing with somebody that's a little bit more soft and a little more fragile, you have to be ready to speak fragile. You have to be ready to take your tone down some. And if you're dealing with somebody like me that gets all rah-rah sometimes, you have to be ready to take your tone down. Take it down a notch for them, and then take it down another notch for yourself. So that way you don't match their rah-rah. And maybe they will come down and match your calm. We have much more influence on a situation than we believe. We have much more influence on a conversation than we believe. And we can influence with our body language. Have you ever been in conversation with somebody and you're pouring your heart out and they're just looking like, they give you the crossed arms, sigh, like, when is this over? How does that even make you feel? Does it make you feel like you can keep talking comfortably? Does it make you feel safe? Probably not. So what happens when the shoe is on the other foot and you're doing that to someone? And you're not being open. Maybe that's something else that we can be mindful of, is being mindful of our body language. So no crossed arms. As soon as you find your arms crossed, and I don't care if it's cold in the room, you uncross and you better find another way. Sit on your hands. I don't care. Get a blanket. Say, excuse me, let me grab my jacket. But be open. Start off in a sitting, relaxed, like sit back. And when they are really talking about something that they seem that they are very passionate about, lean in a little bit. So that way they know that you are really paying attention. Give them feedback, nonverbal feedback. Shake your head. Yeah, I understand. Oh no. So we can do some shakes, we can do some nods, we can make faces. Our face can say a lot. I know my face can say all kind of stuff. But allow your body to allow them to know that I'm with you and I'm listening. Don't be so ready to speak when they're done. Don't listen sitting there preparing your responses. And like I said, have some notepad and pen ready. So in the case that you feel like something that you really just must say, write it down. Give them a chance, or at least wait till they take a breath. And if the conversation is getting too out of control, then you do what you can to do to wrangle it back in. But still, be considerate in what you're doing. Don't just make decisions for decision's sake. Don't make decisions just 'cause. Be mindful of what it is that you're doing. Be mindful of what it is that you're saying. Be mindful of how you are responding. So now it is time for us to answer somebody's question. Let's see what we have here. It says, Dear Mimi, I want to thank you for empowering me. I feel really empowered every single show. What can I do about changing the way I look? Okay. Now listen, y'all. When y'all send me questions, y'all got to be a little bit more specific. When you say change the way you look, do you mean change the way you dress? Do you mean change the look on your face? Like, that's something I'm working on personally, is making sure that I'm controlling more of my facial expressions, because like I said earlier, my face says a lot. My face will tell on me. So is that the look you're talking about? Are you talking about the image, your overall image that you give off when you step into the room? Like, do you come in looking like the sexy professional? Do you come in looking like the frumpy mom? Do you come in looking like workout dad? Or do you come in looking like stressed out husband? So it depends on where you're going with this look. So if you are considering changing your image, maybe you might want to shop around on the internet and look at some people's image that maybe appeals to you, or flip through some magazines. So whether it is the way they're dressed, the way they put their clothing together or something, like, you're like, yeah, I'd wear something like that. Put together a few images. Put together images of even maybe hairstyles, beard styles, whatever it is that you feel like would best reflect the way you want to be seen or the way you see yourself, okay? Because our image speaks for us very loudly. Our image speaks for us before we get to say a word. It's our number one marketing tool in this day and age. You walk in the building, and if you look a certain way, people want to know, what do you do? And if you look a certain way, people don't know, what do you do? So what does your image say about you? Everybody should think about that. Maybe that even is an area where we can be working on 1% better. Could you take a couple of extra minutes to groom yourself, or to take a couple of extra minutes to iron that shirt instead of wearing it wrinkled? I feel like a lot of people have gotten really lackadaisy in this past year or so, because a lot of people are working from home. They feel like they really don't have to get dressed. You see people showing up on Zoom with a t-shirt on all the time, or just looking like whatever, got pajamas on. Now, granted, I might have my pajamas on, but it's only going to be from the waist down, and y'all not even going to know. I'm going to be fat from the waist up. I'm going to be cute. You know, sometimes I just might have on a sweatshirt, but please believe I'm going to be lip gloss and mascara or something to give me some kind of appeal, because we have to be mindful of how we show up. Because how we show up speaks for us. It speaks for how we think about ourselves. It speaks for how we think about our business or our organization that we're representing. Our image says all of that. So what is it that you want your image to say? What do you want your image to do for you? Do you want your image to get you through some extra doors, or do you want it to stop getting you so much doggone attention? So consider, who is it that you desire to be? What does this person look like? How does this person dress? How does this person walk? What type of posture does this person carry? If you're a woman, then what type of makeup does this type of woman wear? If you're a guy, what does this guy wear? Is he a guy that wears, man jewelry and, has to have on the watch to go with the outfit? Is he the man that is very well groomed and every hair in place? Is it time to start taking care of your skin more? Is it time to update your wardrobe from the waist up? Don't be out there buying shoes and you ain't going nowhere. But be mindful of what is the message that I want to send without opening my mouth. Because that is how you can decide how you even get dressed in the morning. Because it doesn't always have to be the same. Depending on where you go is what message you might want to send. You may be going to a networking meeting. And if you're going to some kind of networking social, especially if you ain't been out in a long time, go ahead and put on something that's a little extra. Put on something with a little color. Don't be so mundane and blending in. But just really consider, how do you want to show up? And know that it does not have to cost a lot of money. And don't be afraid to go secondhand. There's nothing wrong with shopping at a consignment store or a thrift store. There's nothing wrong with shopping at a TJ Maxx or a Ross off the clearance rack. You can ball on a budget. You don't got to spend all your money and break the bank trying to look good. That's not what we're here for. We're here to be 1% better. And we can look 1% better without spending all the money. Be mindful of your budget, ladies and gentlemen, of where you're spending what. You have to be the master of your resources, the masters of your time, the masters of your money, anything that you consider a resource, your energy. You know, that's what we really need to be concerned about, is what does our energetic code look like? What does our energy statement look like when we show up? Because you can be all razzle-dazzle and dolled up and have some red bottoms on. But if you're walking around with a scowl on your face and you're looking unapproachable, then what good are them red bottoms doing you? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have work to do every single day. And if you didn't, you wouldn't be listening to this show or watching this show wherever you are seeing it or listening to it. And the other thing is, make sure that you're here every week. Hit whatever button you need to hit that makes that happen out there in your digital world, because we need to spend more time together. Make sure that we are connecting offline. If you haven't already went to YouTube and hit that subscribe button, do that. You get a little bit of everything. You get some business advice. You get some spiritual advice. You get a little bit of everything. You know, definitely some motivational tarot. That's always there. I believe in holistic living. I believe in ancient technology. But what I most believe in is using the power that is within us to create the life and the business that we desire and we deserve. Anything we desire, it desires us. I believe that we were given the vision, that we were given the desire so we can work and become the people or the person that we've been called to be. We're in this thing together. By all means, you are perfect. So anybody who has told you that you are imperfect, they lied to you. You're absolutely perfect just the way you are. And if you're not satisfied, then continue to be 1% better every single day. Continue to tune into this show, because I'll be here. And I'll see you next week. I am Mimi the Motivator, your favorite motivator's favorite motivator, host of the Get High on Motivation Show. Be happy, be healthy, be you.